From AIT Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, this is the O&M Late Show with IBRAHIM and Mamode Akuga.
Hello and welcome. It's a Tuesday night, and of course it's time once again for the O&M Late Show. My name is Mamode Akuga, and I'm standing alone tonight as my tag team partner IBRAHIM is away to the United States on some official O&M business. So what's happening around the world? Very, very quick one. We're seeing a very, very determined President Muhammadu Buhari rolling up the sleeves, getting down to brass tacks and getting down to work very, very fast. Of course, today met with the service chiefs here in Abuja, and is also heading to Chad and Niger for consultations on how to stop Boko Haram. Is also penciled down to attend the G7 summit in Germany. So no time to be wasted whatsoever, getting down to business immediately. And when you consider the fact that a bomb blast hit a busy market in Nigeria's northeastern city of Maiduguri today, killing as many as 50 people, you will know that, of course, it's good news to hear that President Buhari is getting down very, very fast to tackle the issue of Boko Haram. In the world of sports, this, I wouldn't know if it will come as a relief to a lot of people. 79-year-old Sepp Blatter, who already won election for his fifth term as president of FIFA, is having to step down as a result of corruption scandal rocking FIFA as we speak. A lot of people were very upset with the fact that, at 79, he still wanted to govern FIFA. But be that as it may, the elections came and he won. A lot of people complained, but I mean, it's democracy. Majority of people voted for him, and he won his election fair and square. But this is coming as a surprise to a lot of people that Sepp Blatter, after winning the election, says he's going to step down. But it's not going to be very fast. It's something that would last for a couple of months, and eventually an election might drag sometime into 2016, who knows. But in the next 3 months, of course, we're not likely to see any major development. Well, this night, we're going to be taking a look at the president's speech, and I'm talking the speech of President Muhammadu Buhari at the inauguration on Friday. And we'll be doing that with former gubernatorial candidate from Enugu State, Chief LORETTA ANIAGOLU, who is also a businesswoman, very, very involved in mining and construction. And what is the mood of Nigeria today? So much is happening across the country, political developments, security developments, the interplay, as we see, PDP meeting, having a retreat in Port Harcourt, trying to re-strategize, and then issuing a statement that, look, there will be no carpet crossing, we're going to remain in PDP. And for APC, its National Assembly members are crisscrossing the country, trying to get support to get to that leadership position in the Senate as well as the House of Representatives. And what will happen to some key officers who are returning to the Senate? Key officers like Senator David Mack, who's been president of the Nigerian Senate for about 8 years, is returning to the Senate. Unfortunately, his party will no longer be majority. That means he's not likely to get back to the position of President of Senate. What will be happening to him? Will he be comfortable in Nigeria's Senate? Well, we're going to be talking to somebody who understands all this very, very well. Former Deputy President of Nigeria's Senate, Senator IBRAHIM MANTU. Joining us later on the O&M Late Show for today. Also analyzing for us also the state of the nation generally as it affects the takeoff of a new administration. All this, of course, and more. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we'll be talking with Senator IBRAHIM MANTU. Don't go away.
Young man, may we know you? What? Don't you know who I be? No. Are you shitting me? Young man, calm down. This right here is messed up. Nigga, you better ask about me. We only wanted to know where you are from. I'm from the States, man. And this right here is police harassment. Back in the States, we don't take shit from nobody. Got that? Niggas, you better ask somebody around here. It's about to go down up in his mother. I ain't no snitch. And I ain't snitching to no damn cops. You better ask somebody around here. I ain't no snitch. Back in the States, we don't take shit from nobody. This shit is about to get real.
My name is Hygienus Hyacinth Mbojikwe. I'm battling a spark frog. I've been a suffer in the water. My mama name now Dr. Maubinigwe Bialuji.
Area!
All right, joining us at this time, former Deputy President of Nigeria's Senate, Senator IBRAHIM MANTU. Distinguished Senator, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Last time you were here, preparations left, right, center to get through the elections, and eventually all that is done. A new president, inauguration, and for you, tell us, how do you see the mood of Nigeria today?
Well, I think the country is in a very, very happy mood, exciting mood, and with a lot of great expectations, because this election is unique. The last election was unique in the sense that everybody was a winner. And indeed, it repositioned Nigeria positively in the map of the world. Nobody expected that an election will hold in Nigeria and that the election will be peaceful. Indeed, I remember in 2005, when America made that prediction that in 2015, Nigeria will disintegrate. I was in the Senate then, and we all said, well, prophets of doom, that will never come, because we never, we tongue-lashed them, we showed them the length of our tongues, and we told them exactly in very clear terms that that was just a kind of prophecy that will never come true. But of course, later on, events and that unfolded later, we could see clearly that we are coming very close to the realization of that prediction. But God, in His infinite mercy, intervened divinely, and we saw an election that instead of scattering Nigeria or disintegrating Nigeria, it united Nigeria, brought it closer. And I said everybody was a winner. Buhari, the winner, of course, is the winner, is the president. But Goodluck did something unique himself. He congratulated the loser even before the official declaration of the result. And that, again, made him a winner. But above all, Nigerians and Nigeria as a country are actually the winners because of the fact that that election brought us closer than dividing us. And I think that was a major, major, major achievement. And we are now building on that. That's why I said to you that everybody in Nigeria is excited, is happy with the outcome, because we know that at least democracy is now taking roots. And we are now beginning to behave as what obtains in advanced democracies. So the mood of the nation is that of high expectations, great expectations, and we are looking forward to actually moving forward to our destined greatness.
Okay. Now, in the light of that same, or in the same spirit of, democracy taking root, the National Assembly members-elect from PDP held a retreat in Port Harcourt, and they concluded that retreat by saying that, look, there will be no defections. We're going to remain in our party, and salvage the party and, put up a very strong opposition front. For you again, will that translate to, democracy really taking root now in Nigeria? A lot of people expected that some of the members will immediately jump ship.
Well, you see, it is most unfortunate that some politicians believe that it is only when your party is winning that you are proud to identify yourself as a member of a political party. And this is because our parties lack ideology. Because if these parties were based on ideology, if they had ideological leanings, whether you win or lose, you can't change your ideology overnight. Yeah. That is why you find parties like Liberal Party in Britain, they have been there for decades. They may not have won an election. But there are those who believe in the philosophy and the ideology of the Liberal Party, that they will remain liberal till the end of time, right? So I hope we will progress from just using parties as platforms for winning election to trying to sort of, have some kind of ideological leaning, yeah. So, like I say, it's not only just about winning. You must also know that when you go into an election, you must be prepared for two things, to win or to lose. If you win, you celebrate it, and then you now meet the challenges of the people. If you lose, you go back to the drawing board and take stock of where you went wrong so that you can use it, so that you can avoid the pitfalls against the future. Yes. And that's what it's supposed to be. I was so sad when I saw that as soon as APC won, everybody was saying goodbye to us. I felt so bad because to me, as a seasoned politician, it didn't speak well that democracy has actually deepened, or the culture of democracy and principles and process of democracy has actually settled in our minds. So I'm happy about the declaration of the senators, PDP senators, elect in Port Harcourt, and I do hope that they keep to, because it's easier said than done. Yes. All of us believe that democracy is about people choosing you. That gives people the opportunity to vote for somebody. Yes. And I believe that if you are not voted for in a free and fair election, if you are not voted for, it is because there are somebody is better than you. Yeah. And that is why we are hoping and praying that this foundation that we have gotten in this time around will actually be built upon to ensure that the vote counts. Because in the past, our elections were actually questionable. Yeah. So even the best will be defeated by the worst, because it wasn't really based on the votes counting at all. It was based on other factors, which we hope we are saying goodbye to them because they don't help to develop democracy at all.
All right. How about developing the opposition in Nigeria? PDP, of course, a very formidable and strong party over the years. But before now, when you talk about opposition party in Nigeria, they have not really been formidable. In fact, what you have as AP today is some kind of merger brought in several parties. So we've not really seen the true character of the opposition or an opposition party. For PDP, it's a party that has structure. It's already there with all the necessary things to make it function as a proper opposition. Are we likely going to see a situation where PDP starts introducing shadow ministers from the opposition? So as soon as our ministers are appointed, you can see the opposition also going ahead to appoint his own shadow ministers to say, Mr. X is a minister for education. So he follows up on everything that the Minister of Education does. Are we going to see that level, Nigeria rise to that level of opposition?
Well, the fact is that since the restoration of democracy in 1999, we really never had a party that can actually be a formidable opposition, because there are just sort of pockets of small parties that could not actually back and bite. And so there were attempts, of course, of them coming together to form what we call mega party. Those attempts also failed. This is the first time that, even right from history, right from 1960, this is the first time that smaller parties, smaller opposition parties, successfully came together to form a formidable opposition. But like you said rightly, it is an amalgamation of strange bedfellows. So we do hope that they will move forward further to consolidate their togetherness and become a compound rather than friction. There must be a compound. If they become a compound, then they will be in a better position to actually articulate their ideology or their principles and so on and so forth. That is to say that I'm talking about the winning party now.
Yes.
I'm talking about the winning party which was the opposition. And now they have come together, different small parties came together to form a mega party that successfully won election. And like I said, they must actually try as much as possible to be one. Right now, they are strange bedfellows, but all they wanted was, look, we have an enemy. The enemy is PDP, and that we must, finish it. So everybody now, again, PDP helped to make them strong, because PDP was everything was being done with impunity. PDP felt as if, okay, we are alpha and no opposition can actually shake us. Yeah. We are in charge. We are in total control of the situation, and therefore take it or leave it. We impose this candidate. It's not the candidate people wanted, but the governor wants him, that's all, or the presidency wants him, that's all.
No internal democracy.
We actually, no internal democracy. And that was actually what annoyed many people to jump ship. Say, well, look, it's not the only party. Let me go somewhere else. I can't take this nonsense. I can't take this shit, excuse my language. So that is how the APC was becoming stronger and stronger, by people who have been denied their rights in the PDP jumping ship to other parties. But now the time has come for them to consolidate. They will. Now, if they consolidate and then they now get their acts together, PDP is going to play the role of the opposition. It is like you said rightly, the PDP having been on the ground for quite a long time. It's like a kind of, it's more organized and more together.
Yes.
So they can actually, play the role of a formidable opposition very well, because at least having been there for quite some time, they were on the other side of the divide, and they know exactly the intrigues of running the government, and they can always see clearly where this new one is going wrong, because they have been there before, and they can actually, come out. Opposition is good. Opposition is very good, because opposition is supposed to actually correct the wrongs of the ruling government. No, but here in Nigeria, when somebody begins to criticize you, you see him more or less as an enemy, rather than looking at the subject matter. Is he criticizing me objectively? Is this criticism intended to strengthen, me,
or to
make things better, or to destroy? And in most cases too, the opposition here is not they don't also engage in objective criticism. They engage in destructive criticism, subjective criticism, and that is why sometimes again they are seen from the perspective of an enemy, not a friend. But on the whole, a responsible opposition is supposed to help the government of the day to be online, not to drill, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So that is it. When you talk about shadow minister, that is what obtains in parliamentary system. In the presidential system, we don't have something like that, like shadow minister. No. But in a parliamentary system, we have those shadow ministers. Yes. This one will check, the shadow minister will check the real minister of education. Shadow minister works will check the. No, in the presidential system, that is not actually that does not obtain. But that does not mean that we cannot listen.
Cannot also check.
The job of such shadow ministers is carried out by the committees oversighting the various ministries and so on and so forth. Okay. So they now check the excesses or whatever is going wrong in the ministry. As a matter of fact, once we are in the National Assembly, once we are in the legislature, the emphasis of party differences more or less die a natural death. Yes, you are now an arm of government. You have a responsibility to ensure that the executive is doing things the right way. And you are the policeman of the executive. So you police the executive. So it doesn't matter which party you come from and who is actually the minister. Once they are doing the wrong thing, you go there to actually police them and try to correct things.
All right, there's something that, a lot of Nigerians have been wondering, and I'm sure you'll be in a very good position to help us out with a little bit of explanation. For somebody like Senator David Mark, who's been president of Senate for years, going back to the Senate now, his party is no longer in the majority. So a lot of people are ruling out possibility of him ever emerging as president of Senate. How comfortable will he be in the Senate if he were to, just sit in the Senate, no longer as president?
Well, let me say this. David Mark has done very well as a presiding officer, because you remember that I, as deputy president of the Senate, work under 4 different Senate presidents.
Yes.
David Mark has successfully remained as the president of the Senate for 8 good years. He has done very, very well. We can now see whether that kind of ability to keep the Senate together will also be displayed when he takes the other side of the divide, because service to the people is not all about. It's not only about leadership. You can serve your people as an ordinary senator very effectively, because it all depends on how much time you put into identifying the kind of laws that you are going to, or the kind of bills that you are going to promote for the good that will improve the quality of life of the people. If you have a dedicated senator or House of Rep member who knows his onions, he, without being a principal officer, can actually be the man to be celebrated, because he will always go for bills that will improve the quality of life of the downtrodden people. He will always go for present bills that will actually make a big difference in the economy.
Yes, but will he be comfortable?
Now, the issue is, what I want us to understand is that, look, it's not all about being a principal officer. This is why I'm saying that I want to see how he's going to conduct himself, because it's very important. We've never had this kind. We haven't had this kind of situation before. Yeah. But like I say, he successfully ran the Senate as the president of the Senate, and he should now also know that since he has decided to, he contested the election in his constituency to be a senator, not a president of the Senate.
Correct.
When he went to the Senate, all of us, that was an additional
responsibility
from your colleagues. Yes, right. So first and foremost, you contest election to be a senator, to represent your people as a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that is your primary responsibility. So now David Mark is going to the chambers as a maybe floor member. If they like, which I think they may likely do that, he should be the minority leader. You know, when I say should with the consent of his colleagues. As a mark of respect for, if they are united, and as a mark of respect for his office that he has held, I think automatically he now qualifies to be the minority leader. And so he will now play the role of the opposition
in the Senate.
And being comfortable or not comfortable, it depends on how he adjusts himself to the situation. Because this is not something that is written or there's no standard. It depends on the individual. You know, if the individual knows that he is there to offer service, and he should offer service in any capacity, then he should be excited about whatever role he is playing.
All right. Senator Mantu, before you leave, throw some light on your impression of President Buhari's submission that, you know, I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody. Why was it necessary for him to say that?
Well, because, you know, in this country, no matter how hard you try to be independent, people will always look at it and say, well, in PDP, for example, they will say, look at some, I'm just using an example, so, oh, there are some very powerful people who must have bankrolled the party, who did this, who did that.
Godfathers.
So the president will be, cannot do anything without, you know, the opinion of those people being taken into consideration. And Buhari is saying, I belong to nobody because, one, he knows, he is the only president, again, who actually was supported by the ordinary citizens of this country. People were queuing up in banks, meiruas, nail cutters, always putting money into his campaigns. So we believe that he won not because of anybody's bankrolling his campaigns as such. He won because the masses of this nation wanted a change. The masses of this nation, having seen him in action some years back, believe that if such a person comes back again, he will restore the lost glory of Nigeria. Yeah. So he knows that, he is fully aware of that. In fact, everybody rode on his back to win election, virtually. Yeah. Virtually, everybody rode on his back to his popularity to win election. So anybody thinking that because so person must have been the richest person or bankroll the party, Buhari will take orders from him, certainly he is telling the world clearly that I belong to nobody, I belong to everybody. So I think that statement is necessary. You think it was unnecessary, but I think it's very necessary because that's the talk of the town now. People are saying, look, we are happy that he said this. So all those people who are assuming that he won't take any action at all until he gets clearance from those people who must have funded the party have now been, he has told them clearly, look,
very clearly,
for everybody, you know.
All right, distinguished Senator.
Yes.
Thank you so much, as always, for finding time to join us here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, yes. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All right. You're still watching the O&M Late Show. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk with Chief LORETTA ANIAGOLU, principally on the speech of General Muhammadu Buhari. Don't go away.
For everybody and for nobody. That was the only part I know very well about his speech, and I know he's going to, if he can work with that, Nigeria will be better. Do not depend on people's opinion and maybe want to favor others, and the masses, we should concentrate on the masses alone.
We think that a welcome development we have been expecting of him. So we expect him to deliver, like as he has said, that it's not for anybody, it's for everybody.
It's what we have been looking for. In a social contract, when you are elected,
you are not a father to God, not a father to
or whoever you think that elected you.
He's for everybody, not for anybody. He's not for anybody, for everybody.
We'll see and wait and see what is going to come out of it. But we Nigerians, we should pray and not depending on president's words. Let's make Nigeria a better place by starting from you and me. We'll start doing good from our own house, you know. That's just it. Let's not leave everything for the president. He's just a human being.
Welcome back. You're still watching the O&M Late Show. Yes, as promised earlier, we're going to be taking a look at the inaugural speech of President Muhammadu Buhari. And joining us at this time to take a look at some of the key points of that inaugural speech is a politician, former gubernatorial candidate in Enugu State, CEO of a construction firm, as well as somebody who is involved in financial issues. She's joining us at this time, Chief LORETTA ANIAGOLU.
Good day.
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you very much.
Please. So, Chief, tell me, the speech by President Buhari, how did it strike you, everything?
Oh, I think it was a very brilliant speech. I thought it was very exciting in the context of the fact that he touched a number of issues that are pertinent in getting Nigeria back on track again. For instance, I think I'll divide his speech into two major parts. He had the psychological part, which spoke to the minds of Nigerians, trying to remind Nigerians that most of them are people who are descendants of a great, great leadership, great leaders of the past. And also trying to make Nigerians understand that the value of being a Nigerian, indeed, you should be a privileged person. You should be proud to be a Nigerian. And when you remember your dignified past, then you can begin to understand why you need to work hard to be part of a great Nigeria for the future. That's on the one side. Then the other part of it, he's now talking about how do we get back to develop Nigeria, which is a physical part. And to me, those are the two critical issues that are necessary now, given where we're at and all the things that have happened in the last number of years to bring down either the economy of Nigeria, the value system of our society, the psychology of the average Nigerian. We need somebody to begin to say, hard work pays, we need to think differently, we need to make our money and be great people from economic activities that are legitimate. So that's how I would summarize the two parts of this. Yes.
All right. Well, for me, there's so many areas. Yes. If I want to break it down, you know, even the part of it talks about international community, how Nigeria will cooperate. There's the anti-corruption part of it. There is, you know, the local governments and state governments, joint accounting and all that. So much is embedded. It was a rather short speech, but yes, so much was embedded in it. But we know you are very involved in business.
Yes.
I will come to that part, but let's talk a little bit about politics. Right at the start of the speech, you know, that must have taken everybody by surprise.
Yes.
He said, I belong to everybody, I belong to nobody.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people saw that as some kind of message, to certain persons, even within his own political party. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you share that opinion.
Absolutely. That was a very strong message. It was a strong message to, before the elections, there were a lot of rumors. People were saying that, it might not be the same man that we knew before, who was a strict disciplinarian, who had integrity and dignity. He's had to compromise and cut deals with all manners of people. But that message was a clear message to Nigerians, that I am for every Nigerian. The same person you've always known, the man of integrity and dignity, is coming to serve his people, to give his people his best. And he's not going to pander to any special interests. And that's a very important message, because that doused a lot of thoughts and directions that people were beginning to try to sort of insinuate that he might be doing a number of things to pander to special interests. He simply made it clear I am not going to pander to special interests.
But would that not, the statement itself sending some kind of signals, would that itself not make some persons in his own party uncomfortable, thereby, starting for him some kind of, a little bit of power or flexing of muscles, even from his political party?
Well, I'd be surprised if that happens. I mean, everybody who knew President Buhari always knew that this was somebody who was his own person. And I think members of his party recognize that. What I think a number of people who are worried, who probably were in the party, who had issues in the past, who had stories around them, whether those issues were true or not, but people who are generally perceived not to have sterling characters, what he's done is to reassure them that he's not going to chase after anybody. He's made it clear where his targets are going to be, what he's going to do, and how he's going to go about it. But I think that almost all of them should have expected this. That's why he was voted into power. You didn't vote President Buhari into power for him to come and pander to special interests or become a tool in the hands of a few. You voted him into power to be his own person, to forge a direction and bring the change that his party was singing about throughout the elections. So, and I think that that was a landmark message, in his speech. It was huge. That pronouncement was a huge pronouncement and rekindled the confidence Nigerians had in him.
We all wait and watch and see how that plays out. Yes. As comforting as that might be, it might not exactly be the same for some of his party big wigs. Anyway, he also said no paying of old scores.
Yes.
Did you find that comforting?
I think it's important for him to say that because a lot of things have happened since the last time he was the head of state, yes, head of government. And we all know that in the last 16 years, in this time of our democracy, there's been a lot of things that have also negatively impacted the society, from corruption to impunity, abuse of office, and so on. Now, if he's going to spend his time, he's only coming in for 4 years, at least in the first tranche. Maybe by the time he's done in 4 years, Nigerians might be so excited about his delivery that they might want him to stay on, I don't know. But he only has 4 years this time around. Yeah. And if you spend your 4 years chasing after things that happened 30, 20 years ago, I think you're not going to have time to solve the problems which are huge, yeah, that he's meeting at this point in time.
So, from your analysis, everything seems to, probably look perfect in that speech. But let's talk about the Nigerian economy, which he mentioned in the speech as well. He talked about how bad the economy is, today. And a lot of Nigerians are expecting him, to wave that magic wand. Although a few weeks ago he had, sent a caveat out to say, look, I'm not a miracle worker. It will all depend on how bad he meets things on ground before he can start to turn them around. But for you, hitting the ground running, what should the president do so that when we celebrate 100 days in office, we can point to a few things to say, yes, he did say he's not a miracle worker, but the signs are there that good times are coming.
Yes. Well, first of all, I think that the people he picks as his cabinet would give us an indication as to what we should be expecting from his government. The advantage of getting prominent, people who understand the subject matter for which you have given them responsibility, if those people come in and those people are people that we recognize know what to do. He said he's going to get the most competent Nigerians, he's going to get technocrats. Of course, if you're getting technocrats and competent people, there must also be people who would know that Nigerians come first. That whatever you're doing as a technocrat, you also have to recognize that the results must be real He must impact the lives of Nigerians for real. And so from picking those people, that will be the first check mark. Are these people we can have confidence in?
But he has also said that, look, the governors sent some kind of list to him for appointments as ministers, and he said, look, turning this down outright. I'm not going to be taking nominations from governors. But isn't that itself, knowing how politics works, consensus, meetings at night, I mean, I'm not a politician, but I mean,
but
observe them.
You know the works.
Yeah, we've observed them for so long. So you know how they meet, give and take, horse trading. All right, you can go to the Senate. I will ensure that Mr. B gets the ministerial slot while I remain as the governor. Those kind of things may have already been set on the ground. And he says, look, I don't want to know.
But that's part of that. But that's part
would
of.
Would I not breach some grounds for crisis?
He already has an economic crisis, and in the circumstances he's walking into his seat and taking over, he must do things immediately that will solve those crises. And it's not going to be done by just political horse trading. That's not sufficient. You must get people who really understand what needs to be done. Yeah. The only thing, of course, is that in getting people who understand what needs to be done, there must also be people who understand political strategy. That somebody is a technocrat and somebody is competent does not mean that the person should be a political basket case. The person should really understand that this is a democracy. Yeah. And in a democracy, part of what you do is to deliver goods to the people as well as get the people to be on your side. Yes. So there must be people who have that capacity. And I think that if he comes in, picking those people, when you pick the right people, you don't have to be the only person thinking. You're now going to have a team of competent people coming in from several angles to solve one problem.
Cross-fertilization
of ideas. Absolutely. And
yes.
with that level of people, I mean, take the President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, when he came in, Americans were like, third-rate actor, he only has a school certificate, who brought him here, etc., etc. But he left office as one of the best presidents that the United States has ever had. Why? Because he took time and picked sterling characters, people who were competent, recognized in their own fields that were outstanding. And that made a whole difference. I mean, then, we don't know whether it's true, but the rumor then was that he used to go to bed at 9 p.m. Because, I mean, he didn't have to worry because he knew the job was being done. So, and that gave him 2 terms of office with ease. So I think that if he picks the right people, competence in terms of competence in their area of endeavor, competence and integrity, people who have dignity, who know also what needs to be done, and people also who understand the political terrain, I don't think he should have any problems. Within 100 days, in the different sectors, he will immediately have something to deliver. From the insecurity in the country, because Boko Haram in the north, in the south, they have kidnapping and armed robbers. He should have something to deliver that will strengthen Nigerians' confidence and give him the support and the time he needs to tidy up all the other loose ends.
Now that you mentioned Boko Haram,
yes,
he said he's moving the command center, from Abuja to Maiduguri, closer to the insurgents. Do you expect this to have some kind of psychological impact on the troops on the ground? Do you expect this to facilitate victory for the Nigerian army?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm not versed in military strategy, but I think common sense tells somebody that you cannot be fighting and directing a war several thousand kilometers from where it's happening. You would expect that when the troops know that their general is in Maiduguri, putting out plans, calling in move left and move right, calling in, that makes a huge difference. I think psychologically for the troops, your general is right there with you at war. That's why you're a general.
Yes.
You know, the country is one place that has so many generals who haven't actually been to war.
Well, haven't been to war at all.
Very strange. Now the war has come up, the generals need to move in and show why they are generals.
So a lot of Nigerians were quite excited with that one,
yes,
and hope that a lot of positive results will come from that. But let's look at the economy.
Yes.
He said quite a lot about youth unemployment, you know, and for him, he's a little bit worried and, you know, scared about the level of unemployment. Where would you suggest for him to begin to tackle that serious problem, which a lot of people have described as a keg of gunpowder?
Absolutely.
An army of unemployed youth could be anything. You know, where would you suggest for him to begin to tackle youth unemployment?
Well, he, let me take first of all what he said, how he's going to start up. He talked about agriculture, solid mineral mining, and providing a lot of credit to small and medium enterprises. Of course, we know that in society, small and medium enterprises are largest employers of labor. And then he then talked about developing infrastructure, railways, roads, and the power sector, electricity.
A lot of this is construction in a,
exactly.
in a field where you are very knowledgeable.
I think that taking agriculture and solid minerals and this small and medium enterprise definitely is the way to go. But I think there's one aspect that is missing, and that is the housing sector. In Black Africa, I'd say Black Africa because I won't count in North Africa or Southern Africa. In the strip of Black Africa, we haven't seemed to understand the importance of housing as a component of infrastructure development.
How do you know?
What I'm saying in essence is that if you look at, I give you an example. After the Great Depression, the tool that was used to revamp the economies of America and Europe was the construction sector, and that construction sector was real estate, commercial and residential housing development. After the Second World War, what they used to rebuild Germany, France, and Britain and all that was the construction sector, and the sector specifically was commercial and residential real estate. Today in the Western world, what they use to measure the barometer of how the economy is rebounding is the housing sector. In America, it's called the housing starts. They check people who are buying homes for the first time.
I guess you could relate this to somewhere in the Middle East. And,
absolutely. If you look at Northern Africa, the rate and speed with which Northern Africa developed was when they keyed into real estate development. Why is that? It's the highest employer of labor, right? And it employs all levels of labor, skilled, unskilled, architects, plumbers, electricians, lawyers, because all these things are in. It's also the only social service that government provides that they get money back. In other words, if you build houses and you sell, whatever you invest, as you sell, you get money back. Where we have missed it and why Black Africa has not latched into it, it's not rocket science. That's the only way you can get accelerated development. If you arrive in any developed nation, the first thing you see is the way real estate is laid out. That's what makes the place beautiful.
Yeah.
But the reason why the development in Africa, and Black Africa, because not the whole of Africa, is slow, is because we're not keyed into that as an indispensable tool for rapid development.
We're all still building our houses ourselves.
Exactly, by personal effort. And how far can you go? There's no reason why somebody who has a regular job, who has worked for 3 or 4 years, should not be able to put a down payment and start paying in installments for a house. So, for this government, for instance, agriculture, yes, because food security, apart from just creating jobs, any nation that is not able to provide food for its people is running a huge risk.
Governments have been toppled over food.
Absolutely. Yes. Food insecurity, major. So there is no question of the fact that agriculture is critical. But the other part that they are missing is the housing part. Can you imagine in Nigeria, where, for instance, and the way it's done is that government puts money, government doesn't do the construction themselves, but government puts money in mortgage banks for them to provide low interest mortgages for people, low interest loans. They provide
those houses.
They provide monies to commercial banks to provide low interest loans to developers. What this then does, and you do this just one tranche, it could be maybe 100, 200 billion, 300 billion to start. You never put in money again.
And it revolves.
And it starts going. Then you start making money. Because from those houses, you get taxes. As the houses are sold, you get your VAT. You get your levies because you have to pay tenement rates. There's all kinds of monies that eventually begin to accumulate and accrue to government from that. So the money just keeps going around.
Okay. We have to go now. We're out of time, but I must get you to say something more on, mineral mining.
Solid minerals, it's also a very good area, but it's something that the government must recognize, not something that they can get a response like housing or agriculture immediately within the next 12 months. Why? Because the Nigerian government is yet to do the studies required, the geological science studies, to pinpoint not only where these minerals are located, but the quantities. And what that does, is that the government must be in a position where your license becomes your collateral. That license, when you go to government and you pay for license, they will spend money. It takes about 2 or 3 years to get these studies done, completed, and then these deposits identified and priced. So if you want to mine lead and zinc, what it means is that if you say I want to do 500,000 tons of lead and zinc a year, the government will say your license will cost you $500,000. That money they spent in doing the studies to get this information, they will also recoup from the licenses. But if they don't do it, nobody's coming here to invest because that's the minimum basic. But in 3 years, they have it done. This country will be swamped with investors looking to take on the licenses.
Thank you so much, Chief ANIAGOLU. I think that for you, agricultural housing probably will be the quick impact areas for government to quickly begin to look into.
And the credits to small and medium.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you so much
for
joining us on the O&M Late Show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so present this to you.
Thank you.
You are great, yes, you are Holy One. Walked upon the sea, raised the dead. You reign in majesty, mighty God. Everything redeemed.